They say the moon watches everything. Long before electricity chased away the darkness and long before people stopped believing in warnings, the moon was already there, silent, ancient, and patient. In the village of Umu Okiri, hidden between thick forests and winding paths, one rule stood above all others. When the moon was full, no one stepped outside. Doors were shut tight, fires were dimmed, and voices were lowered until even whispers felt dangerous. The elders said the moon did more than shine, they said it listened. And sometimes, when it learned your name, it called. No one remembered when the disappearances began. They only remembered the stories that followed. A hunter who went out late and never returned. A woman whose footprints ended suddenly in the middle of an open clearing. A child whose name was heard in the night and answered without thinking. The elders explained it in simple words that carried heavy fear. The moon remembers every name spoken beneath its light, and once it speaks your name back, you belong to it. Most people obeyed without question. Fear was inherited like tradition. But Obinna was different. He was young, strong, and proud, a hunter who walked alone into the forest and returned with animals others feared to chase. To him, the warnings were old stories meant to control the weak. He laughed when the elders spoke of spirits and shook his head when they mentioned the moon. He believed the moon was nothing more than light in the sky, a silent stone floating far above the earth. "The moon has no mouth," he once said. "It cannot speak." The elders exchanged troubled looks because many who vanished had spoken those same words. The night the moon called Obinna, it rose unusually large, low in the sky, glowing silver and heavy, as though it were closer to the earth than it should be. The village felt it immediately. Women rushed children indoors, men locked their doors, and even the dogs refused to bark. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Obinna returned late from hunting, an antelope slung across his shoulder. As he walked through the village, he noticed the silence. No torches burned, no voices answered his footsteps. "Superstition," he muttered. He reached his compound and dropped the antelope by the door. That was when he heard it, a whisper, soft, gentle, familiar. "Obinna." His heart froze. The voice did not come from behind him or from the forest. It came from above. Slowly, he raised his eyes to the sky. The moon glowed brighter, and the air around him turned cold, heavy, as if the night itself was watching. The whisper came again, and this time it sounded exactly like his mother. She had died years ago, but the voice was perfect, warm, loving, real. "My son," it said softly, "why do you hide from me?" Obinna swallowed hard. Fear crept into his chest, but pride kept his feet planted. "I'm not afraid," he said, though his voice trembled. The whisper laughed quietly, not in cruelty and not in kindness, but with a knowing calm that made his skin crawl. "Come closer," the moon said. "Let me see you." Without realizing it, Obinna took a step forward. Moonlight spilled across the ground like liquid silver, wrapping around his feet. His shadow stretched unnaturally long behind him. The light felt warm and cold at the same time, pulling at his chest like a memory he couldn't name. "You have always been brave," the voice whispered. "You have always wanted more." "What are you?" Obinna asked, his voice barely audible. The moon shimmered. "I am memory," it replied. "I remember every name spoken beneath my light." Behind closed doors, the villagers listened. They heard Obinna speaking. Some covered their ears, some cried silently. The elders knew the truth. Once a person answered the moon, there was no calling them back. No prayer could reach that far. All that remained was waiting. The moonlight slowly shaped itself into a narrow, glowing path leading away from the village and toward the forest. "Walk," the moon whispered. Obinna hesitated for the first time. "What happens if I do?" he asked. "You will never be forgotten," the moon replied. Those words cut deeper than fear. Obinna stepped onto the path. The moment his foot touched the glowing ground, the forest fell silent. No insects chirped, no leaves rustled. Only his breathing and the steady gaze of the moon remained. As he walked, the trees seemed to lean inward, their shadows stretching across the path like fingers reaching for him. "How many have walked here?" Obinna asked, his voice shaking. "Thousands," the moon replied. "They hunted, they loved, they dreamed." "What happened to them?" he whispered. "They listen," the moon said, "forever." The air filled with whispers, hundreds of voices calling names, laughing, crying, begging. Obinna heard his own name spoken in many voices, some young, some old, some not human at all. His legs gave way, and he fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his face. "Please," he begged, "let me go back." The moon did not answer. The path ended in a wide clearing flooded with moonlight. The light poured down like a pillar from the sky, brighter than anything Obinna had ever seen. The whisper returned one final time. "Step forward," it said, "and become part of the whisper." Obinna thought of the village, the forest, and the life he had not finished living. But the pull was stronger than fear. He stepped into the light. When morning came, the village emerged slowly. Obinna was gone. The antelope still lay by his door, untouched. The villagers followed glowing footprints to the edge of the forest, where they stopped suddenly beneath open sky. There was no blood, no sign of struggle, only moon-silver earth. That night, the elders gathered the children and repeated the warning in trembling voices. Do not answer, do not listen, because the moon had taken another name. And even now, on quiet nights when the moon is full and the world is still, some say a whisper can still be heard, softly calling, patiently waiting. So if you ever hear a voice calling your name beneath the moonlight, do not answer. The moon does not call to be kind, it calls to remember. And once it knows your name, it never forgets.